I've seen
your
never this
pee-pee in my
pop before.
bed.
Yeah, people
Try
this.
to walk a mile in my shoes. Put your pee-pee in my bed.
That 0.5 lens, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You could probably put that on the on the RG, yeah.
Put on the bloody large RG.
Bloody large.
I could probably fucking do this too.
They were fucking with my head.
They were sucking on my dick.
He was playing with my birds.
Yeah, just the 0.5. Crazy. Huh?
Sucking, fucking, and up here.
Sucking fucking on a piss, I think.
Sucking, fucking, and a piss.
Oh, and a piss. Classic.
It's beautiful how melodic lines can become so infectious.
It's funny how
Right.
suck and fucks are the rhyme. It's the same word almost.
And now I'm curious if there's I wasn't drawing from any real Pearl Jam song when I was doing that, but now I'm curious if there is a Pearl Jam song where he does.
Probably.
I guarantee there. Yeah.
You're like a bizarre cipher that we can use to. The past speaks through you, you know?
Someone in the comments is gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's blah 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 blah." blah."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's verse 3 of Jeremy. Like,
I've never done like a Discog dive on Pearl Jam.
No, I haven't either. I've never
Yeah.
felt motivation to. I don't need to
Yeah.
hear fucking an hour.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
for an hour.
I was just telling you, I sang that song at a student concert because a couple of friends approached me and asked me to play bass on it. And so I know that one song really well, and then I know more of their music.
Every time I'm doing
compelled.
well, I just heard when I'm doing Scott Stapp, everyone's assuming, especially older people, they're like, "Oh, Eddie Vedder," and I'm like, "No, the copycat, Scott Stapp. You don't know?
He's motherfucking Scott Stapp.
He's kind of the Travis Scott of Eddie Vedder. Think about it.
The Travis Scott, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah."
It's like he's just stealing what the other guy
Right.
did.
How do you feel that another guy got famous doing your bed?
It seems my life. It's just like a bastardized
Right.
version of something that was already kind of annoying,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I used to watch this live performance of Pearl Jam doing "Still Alive." I'm Still or Alive, I guess it's called, at Lollapalooza. Like right when they were in their prime, wearing those flannel shirts and like
Yeah.
the shorts and the boots and shit. That was like how I dressed through college. Was like that. I like
Oh,
that.
the flannel
Yeah,
vibe.
it's a good big guy fit.
Yeah. I think I had one flannel shirt.
I don't really have like flannel, like if that's the material. I don't have like flannel shirts, but I have flannel patterned
The flannel plaid.
plaid shirts. I have a plaid shirt. I mean, it's like damn near. It's like square circle.
I gotta say,
right.
in retrospect, it's so when you listen to all of those different groups classified under grunge, it's kind of like they are so different. So it's like really obnoxious. Like the grouping feels even more obnoxious looking back, like in retrospect. Like thinking about Soundgarden, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. Like they
Smashing
actually
Pumpkins.
Yeah.
were Smashing Pumpkins.
Wouldn't they be regarded as grunge? Their early shit.
Really?
I mean, they're a softer version than like Nirvana, probably, but
I don't
Yeah.
even.
I've never heard them in
I've
that
never-
conversation.
I don't think
know.
so.
Really?
No.
let me look it up.
No.
What
But-
are they? Gay music?
I don't know.
They're gay, actually. Wikipedia.
But I
Pashing
was,
Smumpkins.
I was talking with someone recently though about like even like the sort of subcultural split amongst those bands, like how I like a lot of Alice in Chains stuff, and that's even some of the first like shit I remember hearing like as a kid through video games and stuff. We've talked about it before,
Right.
but
Right.
when you watch like their interviews, there's like this little
Oh, they hate it. Like
no
the
no
classification.
there's like this faint hint of like misogyny and like Like
this isn't that stupid Britney Spears crap we're doing. Like that kind of vibe.
This is a few years before that.
Yeah, well,
no, just outright, just like sexist, like like sexist comments, but it's almost like they felt like they were supposed to be doing it almost.
Right.
Like it was
Really?
like it was, yeah, it's very bizarre. And yeah, it like, again, like just to my original point, it's like then like knowing what you know about Nirvana, it's like feminist, like, you know, at least Kurt, and you know, just different values. Same thing with Soundgarden. So you're like, I could just see how irritating and annoying on a certain level it must have been to be on that
part
side.
of what these clowns are doing.
Right. It's like,
Right.
oh, grunge, and they're like, oh, you mean with the that guy?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like also
The guy on the camping trip who made moves on you, that guy's music.
there's even like
Just gonna share this doobie with me.
a stylistic and subcultural divide at the level of the music, because Nirvana specifically like was coming out of punk, whereas like when you look at Alice in Chains, they're coming out of like hair metal sort of.
Right.
I was gonna
Right.
say, like, I feel like grunge is kind of the same thing as like what Talking Heads and new wave music was. It was like kind of response to punk, and then it's like a divergence from that. I feel like that's kind of what grunge was.
It's
Also, I have the
kinda-
records on Smashing Pumps.
Oh yeah.
Smash Pumps.
Smash Pumps.
They're like it lists them as this doesn't seem like the right order of accuracy, but disavowing the punk rock roots of many of their contemporaries. Lame. Lame.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
not punk.
Right.
I'm not gonna say gay, but you know, that's what I feel like. But
Just put that in your head. Just think that.
Lame. They have a diverse, densely layered sound containing elements of gothic rock, heavy metal, dream pop, psychedelic rock, progressive rock, shoegaze, and electronica in later recordings. It said alternative rock. Yeah, on Google it says alternative rock. Alt rock, I guess, is what I'm mixing it up with, because that's just kind of like an even less stylistic version of grunge. That's just kind of like, that was just all commercial rock from like
the smooth
the late
out,
90s to the mid 2000s, basically,
Just
until
the
emo took over.
the smoothed out version.
Yeah.
whatever.
Headstrong, let's take you on. Like,
that's-
what is that? Like, I don't even know what that is.
But that's interesting though, to just think from a cultural standpoint that, you know, like groups can be coming from these different places, but maybe because they're coming out of the same geographical area and time, and there's some like vague similarities that people ultimately just sort of throw
It's
this
almost like the left.
they throw this
Yeah,
blanket,
it's
they throw this
almost
right, they throw this blanket like the left,
Yeah,
someone's
Right.
on the whole thing, and they go, oh, remember blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I just did. I thought Smashing Pumpkins was
Right.
part of the grunge scene.
Yeah. Almost makes me feel like almost makes me feel like once a genre is named, nobody else gets added to that genre. It should just be like, this is what the genre is. It's
Right.
these people, and you go make your own shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like with grunge, we talked before about.
Sorry.
Somebody starting a grunge band upstairs.
Fucking
Yeah.
one of the fucking ghosts of Christmas past walking up the fucking circus.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
No, it's but yeah, I feel like, because what's the fucking term, like schismogenesis, where people like become,
Not familiar.
it's some like
Intriguing.
Dawn of Everything shit, where like
Okay.
people determine their whole identity based on like a reaction to another group that's nearby, and so they're just like, we don't want to be like them, so we do this. And it almost feels like knowing that a genre exists and wanting to capture that sound almost just automatically makes it just worse. You know?
Yeah.
And it's super evident with grunge, but also, you know, just a bunch of other shit. We're just like, how do we do the bare minimum to fit into this category while also not being that
being
at
in
all?
it.
Yeah.
That's why I think the through line on good, impactful music is just trying to do experimental pioneering and synthesizing work, you know, so doing a good job at blending things that have already been done together in a way that hasn't been done, and then actually having something to say. That's like the other X factor element that in my humble opinion, this is it's a bold thing I'm gonna say, but it's like I feel like a majority of artists that I encounter, just not that they don't have something to say, but what they're saying is just so cliche and played out, and I've heard it a million times in all the iterations that they're presenting. It's like not even, and also not vulnerable too, you know. It's like but even I'm thinking about Kurt Cobain from a songwriting standpoint, how he didn't really, you know, he talked about how he didn't give a fuck about lyrics like that, but there was at least there was a poetic
that's the thing.
energy to, he left it vague and enough to where you could interpret it in so many different ways. Or
it's like lyrical impressionism a little bit.
I also think, I gotta say, I also do think, to be honest, that a part of it was him protecting himself, because I do think he was being maybe vulnerable in a lot of ways, and was kind of just shy or ashamed of some of the things, but wanted to still kind of let it out. A part of me feels like that was a part of it, but there's no like.
He had the kind of like unfortunate condition of being super famous like really quickly, and then that just leads to a bunch of horse shit of people asking you what you mean by this, that, or the third.
Right.
But that that idea of like shit being poetic or lyrical, like I think it's like you don't even have to necessarily have like some explicit thing you're saying. Like if your poetry and lyricism is good enough, there is meaning to it because you thought of it, you know what I mean?
Right,
and you chose to make it that way.
Right.
I think that's the area of art that like gets me the most interested. But yeah, a lot of like just music in general now, it might as well be made by AI already. Like,
right.
Have you been online a lot recently? Because there's, I don't know, like, have you caught this like AI art thing where people are paying $8 to get AI art?
Yeah,
and it's like cool. Some of them are like, wow, this is amazing, but like, genuinely, I've decided that terrifies me. It just broadly AI in general, the technology.
Within days of that trend starting, I saw a thing that was about how the way it generates that art is, I forget what the method is called, but it basically just like aggregates a bunch of actual artists' work without without consent.
Before diving, I think what I'm about to say is related in a certain way, but before diving deeper into the AI thing, like I also have been having this thought lately about, you ever hear people, they're saying it in like a capitalistic marketing, entertainment marketing phraseology of like, you know, when people are buying your music, they're buying a piece of you. It's you. They're buying your brand. They're invested in your personality and brand. You know, that's why they're buying the whatever.
Yeah.
Have you heard this before?
No, but that sounds very marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I guess I've heard variations on that.
Well, I wanted to unpack that in the context of like songwriting, music making, whatever, because I was reflecting on it when I was thinking about Ryuichi Sakamoto, because I was thinking about how anything he does to me is like just brilliant, and it's like, well, why is that? Because you could hear the same thing from XYZ people, especially when you listen to some of his older stuff from the early 80s or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, this has been done so many times. So what is it about when it's a Sakamoto record that's on that moves you or makes you more invested or feel it more?
Well, because you're like, every day I do brush my teeth. That's crazy.
And it was like I
day
had the realization of, oh, it's the intentionality, but also having the context of who he is, what he has been saying, what he's wanted to say, and then also when in the timeline he's made what he's made and how that's influenced people. So it's like, no, it does hit different, and it does say something different to me. And thinking about that, it made me think more deeply about the, you know, I guess there is a tie-in with the AI art generation conversation, because it's like what makes people like quote unquote invested in an artist and their work,
right?
Beyond just like, oh, it was a moving song, or it was a
Right.
moving melody or harmony or whatever. And you know, because I've encountered, you know, I've had conversations with some people in even the last 6 months where they're like, they're totally buy into this hype that, oh, this is it. I mean, this is going to be the end of like music because AI is going to, and it's like,
Right.
the first point is like, when you look into technically how that works and what's going on, no, like that's not like the stuff that you're hearing. A lot of the stuff you're hearing, at least in media and publications, they're having AI like generate sort of just it's like a mess basically that it exports, and they have real musicians and composers go in and they take phrases, melodic phrases of it, and they stitch it and then add things to it. That's what you're hearing.
Right.
But like the idea that maybe for each instrument or each melodic line or whatever, like, because it is math, you know, so like you can probably have a lot of input in terms of, but the AI can't parse, like if it's just getting one whole track or song, it can't like parse each. It can to a certain degree, but not clear enough to where it can then export something that you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like when they're saying, oh, we're feeding, you could feed it stems, and then it can analyze each instrument and each whatever. I can see.
You're
that.
saying as a whole thing, it can't really make out.
Yeah.
Like the components of it.
Yeah, and I'm not the expert on this,
Sure.
but I have spent some time like looking into it. But the second point that I wanted to make, that's just the first point. The second point is tied to what I'm saying. It's like, where is it coming from? Who is it coming from? What is their story? You know, what are they doing? You know, like, and I know for me, I'm biased because that's sort of like I feel like it's like hard coded into my brain with music. This is also related to the separate the music from the person conversation.
Yeah. You gotta separate the art from artists. That's
right. And it's like I've had from when I was really young. It's like the person has been a part of the art to me, because music, the way my I feel it and perceive it, I feel and perceive it as a form of communication, just like someone talking to me in a room.
Yeah.
They're saying something to me.
Right.
Why are they saying it? I want to know why they're saying what they're saying and what they're trying to accomplish, if they're trying to accomplish anything, if they're just trying to accomplish a feeling, or if the feeling is a means to some other thing.
They're talking to me. The Beatles are talking to me.
I have like 18 different thoughts from what you were just saying, but one of them, when you were talking about Sakamoto earlier, is like, this is kind of a side note, but like it's related to that. It's like, isn't it crazy when you hear something so original, it not only is it so original, it like flips. It like it sounds so original that it sounds futuristic. Like if you're so at the root of a sound of when it started, that it sounds futuristic or like
timeless.
Right? Even watching Genius, the Netflix Kanye doc, like just watching him talk, it's like, oh, this guy is in the future, even still. Like that's crazy. You know, it's degraded, but like it's like when you're at the very beginning of something that's so impactful before it's even big, it's like it sounds futuristic even now. It's like when you go into any like drum and bass YouTube compilation, everyone's like, this still sounds like the future. Like there's nothing, we've said that on here before.
It's almost
when you
like
listen to Goldie, you're like, not only does it sound like the future, it's like, do you know how much work it would take for anyone in this era to even come close to like, to really emulating the layers, and then even the craft, the skill because of the technological limitations of that time that went into that.
Did you see the Khaled clip that resurfaced?
Yeah, with
it's called Machine Does Everything For You. It's called Too Easy.
It's called The Drum Machine's Not Even On.
And then Kenny Beats reposted a video of Khaled doing it, and the machine's not even on. And he goes, it's called The Machine's Not Even On.
Yeah, right.
You gonna say something though?
I was gonna say stuff like that is so cool to me, because like, if like every generation kind of has their vision of what they think the future is going to look like. And we never actually get there. We never do that because by the time, you know, the Jetsons version of the future looks fucking silly now.
Yeah.
But like to a certain degree with certain things like music or just like sonic things, it's like it'll always sound futuristic because there just aren't really people like copying it in a way that really is as effective as they think it is, you know? So it just sounds timeless in that way because just like nobody can recreate it.
Dude, I like saw I hope whatever space Twitter like takes up to allow or cultivates to have like those pages where it's just like a loading screen from like Unreal Tournament or like music from a Game Boy game or what, like those just aesthetic compilation pages.
Yeah.
I like literally was almost brought to tears with nostalgia looking at like an Unreal Tournament like little graphical rendering, and it had like this like ambient tsunami vibe music that that had that like late 90s really almost like optimistic sounding but like super nostalgic. It's like we haven't gotten past that because like it really like that time period, it was like, oh, this is the end. This is the end,
right,
of a age of everything, kind of.
Dog, certain shit from that period, like I've never locked into nostalgia so hard as when I just look at like a Toonami Midnight Run promo.
Yeah,
and just like Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
and just like it feels like I'm back at my house from back then, and just like. Yeah, like something about it, I don't know what it is, where it feels like I've been transported. It's crazy.
I feel like we're on a wrinkle, like we've gotten to the end of something, and now it's like this bunched up debris at the end of it.
Yeah,
I kind of want to reiterate like the point I was just making, because like I feel like that is where the word that keeps coming to mind is like weight, like. When you depart from just aesthetics to where now I am invested in whatever it is that I'm looking at. It's also related to the form versus content conversation we're always having. Right. Like to spin back to Sakamoto, it's like because I can listen to a record he made in 1980 and it literally sounds like a Jay Dilla record. It's literally like a Jay Dilla beat. And it's like 1980 or maybe 1983. I can't remember which specific one I'm thinking of. Right. Now it's like when if I hear something today or I hear something elsewhere in the timeline, I go, I'm interested in what this person has to say through their music. Yeah, I'm just interested in a way that I'm not going to be interested with over 90% of people creating music, because it's like, oh, this person is ahead and like is tapped in at another level. And it's like the same thing applies to film or to design or to whatever. It's like you're invested at another level because if someone actually has something to say, or they were doing something so far ahead that to you it's like there's a legitimacy to it that isn't going to be there with a lot of the people after. Because I feel like traditionally a lot of the people who are creating after the pioneers, of course, you're gonna have amazing, groundbreaking stuff, but I think objectively, a majority of it is just aesthetics and them trying. They like what the pioneers did, but they don't necessarily have anything interesting to say. Right. So they're good at emulating what the pioneers did or what the innovators did, and they're presenting this beautiful form, but the content could never actually hold up to what the pioneering work like offered. And I'm thinking about that in terms of like, okay, our era of like this era of like creation and like in the digital age, it's like aesthetics are fucking everywhere, anything, everything. Like we got our generation
it's
and
all
younger,
form, no content.
I'm saying exactly. Like I'm over the aesthetics thing at a certain level. It's like we got that. We can do whatever.
We got plenty of that.
Go through the book, pick a palette, whatever.
Yeah, we got we got the biggest mood board of all time.
Yeah, exactly. We got
we're done making mood boards.
Yeah. Like now, what do you have to say? Do you have anything?
You have
to
the
say?
tools. You have the references. You have the curation.
And I feel like that's almost like the last. That's like the last like test. It's like, cause I'm saying this, I'm not gonna name names again, but like I'm thinking of artists where they're making musically amazing fucking shit. Yeah. But when I listen to their songs, it's like my eyes are glazing over because I'm like, you're talking about money again.
Right.
You're talking about ass again. You're talking about whatever. I do not care. I mean, maybe you could talk about those things in a way where I would care, and I just can't even imagine it right now. But like, I do not care because that's like, and I know I sound like a fucking, you know what I sound like. I sound like a grandpa. Just talking about ass and money. What happened to the real music? But it's like, at a certain level,
cheeks.
you know what? The shit that's going to grab my attention is fucking vulnerability. That's the shit that grabs my attention. It's like, who's going to fucking open their fucking chest up and let me look at their heart so I can connect to them?
You know what's fucked
what I mean?
up? You know what's fucked up? People are not good at making vulnerable art.
Yeah, I know.
Your vulnerability sucks, and it's boring to me.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm starving for. Is I'm realizing is like I genuinely there's only a few living people,
right?
That like right now. Like, I don't think I'm the fucking biggest genius, hot shit in the world. But you know what that feeling is where you're like, you're not doing anything I'm not humbled by what you're doing.
Right.
I feel that way with film a lot. Like these young filmmakers that like get these like artsy films and they get distribution for these artsy films. And I'm just like, I don't know, like Robert Eggers is fire. Like the Lighthouse is fire. But I'm like, this should be regular shit. Like this should be like, I refuse to accept this as exceptional.
Right.
I don't feel like I couldn't have made that.
Right.
When you make something, I feel like I couldn't have made it. Like I'm just literally not built that way, and I'll never be built that way.
Right.
That's when I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Give me something fucking. Give me nutrition. But like in music, in like comedy, even in fucking movies, everything. It's like
it's seen.
Nothing's blowing my mind. Like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, for example. Great movie. I think it's a fucking classic. It's phenomenal. But I'm like, I wouldn't be like intimidated by like that. I'm not intimidated by these works. Make shit that makes me go like, how the fuck are you that genius?
Right. You
That's
know
what I want.
There's to a degree, I tend to think stuff like that is a choice to do it or not. Because like, I mean, you mentioned comedy. I've seen so many interviews and all these things where like people talk about like, we've known for 50 years now that the reason Richard Pryor resonated so much with people is because he was vulnerable. Yeah. Because he talked openly about who he was and what he went through growing up and all this stuff. And there are comics who say that and then they make this active choice of just like, yeah, but I can't do that. I'm going to just talk about pussy.
Yeah. I was going to make the same point with music.
Yeah. And it's like, and obviously there's a degree to which that's like, some people are just not good at that. But it's also because you don't train that muscle, you know what I'm saying? Like you have this barrier up where you've never explored that in your personal life, so why would you explore it on stage? And I feel like with music, I mean, with music, it's easier to like imitate, at least like on a lyrical sense.
It's easier to compartmentalize it where I'm like, I'll just be vulnerable in the music and in real life I won't be.
Exactly. But you can still sense it when it's, and I mean talking about Sakamoto, like we've talked about his politics before, and I feel like somebody going out and espousing the same politics as Sakamoto and they don't actually mean it, like you would sniff that out instantly. Somebody going out and like, if you started like a System of a Down cover band and you never heard of the Armenian genocide or whatever, it's like I can smell that on you. You know what I'm saying? There are mad people who do Rage Against the Machine covers or love their music who are straight up Nazis. So like,
that's true.
It's
fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Unless you're Hitler, then I'll do what you tell me.
Then sing Heil.
But like, I feel like it's easier to get caught in a trap with music where
I mean, sure, Rage Against the Machine, I like them, you know. Sure, I mean, listen, if you're gonna listen to some music, you know, listen to Rage Against the Machine.
Now the
I wish they're a little wider, but that's you know.
The big takeaway for me is that everybody's got their own machine to rage against. Mine is the Jews. What's your machine?
Mine's racial hierarchy. That's what I'm raging on. Hopefully, Yeah.
It's just like I feel like comedy in a way is like maybe less prone to disingenuity Is that the one? But it does happen. Whereas music, you can like, especially when you have money attached to it, like you can fake your way through this shit so easily, but there's always somebody that's trying to sniff you out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like
the industry plant shit. It's like
it's either like, and this is why I like oscillate between what am I more interested in at what given time, because it's like sometimes with music, like I am more interested in fakery. I'm more interested in an idea or a character or a sound or an illusion.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, it's like, but then on the vulnerable end of things, even that sucks sometimes. Like you know what I'm talking about, like all these like millions of shows that were greenlit by like Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max. They're like these faux prestige, like knockoff shows about someone who's like living in entertainment or something like that. Like this Louis runoff bullshit, and it's like, oh, this is real fucking whatever. But it's like it's not good. Like at that point the form is now suffering. It's like, okay, the content is good, but you're not good at this what this thing is. It's like, and the content's not that fascinating. So it's like it's fucked up, because that's why I feel like, where are we going? Are we at an end? Does anyone have anything fucking interesting to say? Like
I mean, it feels like with TV we're at a place where it's so aware of itself. Every TV project feels so like, what if we did this? Can you imagine if we did this? And like a show like Atlanta, which I've watched and I've enjoyed it. It's a good show, I think. But to a degree, it's also just like, can you imagine if we gave an artist creative freedom?
Mm-hmm.
That's the extent of the genius of Atlanta to me. I don't look at that show and say Donald Glover is a genius, which I'm not denying his ability, but I'm also saying
got talent.
He's got talent. He's obviously talented, but like I watch that show and I'm just like, okay, a TV network gave this man a long leash.
Yeah,
that's what it is to me. It's like
you get to do weird like Coen Brothers-y shit, like weird. I don't know. It's like you get to make slightly weird shit.
Yeah,
but it's like, is that what we're feeding off of? Slightly weird shit, and I think it always goes back to that resource allocation conversation of like who's getting the actual resources and why.
Exactly. I mean, to the same point, I have frequently said, if anybody got 4 hours to talk on stage, right, you know, anybody could be as good at comedy as Dave Chappelle. You know, people obviously don't have the same experiences as he does, and some people might do it better. Some people are going to do it a lot fucking worse. But if everybody had that freedom to just walk on stage and just say everything they ever thought and just get those hours in, Dave Chappelle would be middle to bottom of my list. Like,
I do think though that there is, I hate to use this word, a dialectic, because on the other side of it is, where are all of the artists who do have something to say, even if it's burrowed deep inside or put on the back burner? Where are they looking? Where are they looking in terms of like resources or access or distribution, in terms of collaboration, and how is that actively shaping the art that they aspire to actually create, or the things that they actually aspire to say? Another way to put it is like, if you're looking to you're on the hamster wheel again with the hamster wheel, or you're looking to like, you're looking at the pyramid and looking at just getting higher up in the pyramid, then it doesn't fucking matter how talented or how skilled or how genius you are, because at the end of the day, you're making a crazy ass compromise with forces and powers that ultimately aren't invested in you doing something risky or groundbreaking. They're invested in you in so much as you can provide a commodity that they can sell to maximize their profits.
Right.
I think you could literally say it as simply as, capitalism doesn't breed innovation. Innovation is bred despite capitalism.
We've said it before, but I'm underscoring this point as an appeal to the artist. Right. It's like, I'm just tired of like talking with brilliant artists that would be creating genius bodies of work that would be timeless and stand the test of time, but who are literally, their values are so wrapped up in getting the next gig or getting the next getting the next show with XYZ corporation or company, instead of like leaning into the technology, the tools, the artists to just start making great things now, and like us figuring out how to usher in a new era. Because like I don't believe that, like, I do believe that there's only so much that we can do as like creative, that humans can do as creative people, but like this synthesis point is also really important. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been done. I mean, like, and like
absolutely.
in the span of human history, like cinema has not been around for that long. Like audio recordings have not been around for that long.
Yeah.
So it's like there just needs to be space that we have to create, like from the bottom up, in which we can start to actually explore our potentialities as creatives. And like the other thing I wanted to say is, and this is where I don't really have as clear ideas or feelings, but maybe there is a certain degree of like like people from like in our age range and younger and maybe older, like just generationally, like people not being cut from the same cloth in terms of having a critical eye or analysis on their craft, on art in general, and that just leading to like not stimulating art, you know? Like it's like if you it's, to put it another way, it's like maybe there are people where if you said, look, here's millions of dollars and you have free reign to say whatever you want and there's no pressure, whatever, and it's like whatever would come out of them would not be interesting or not be stimulating.
Well, and also, like, you know, consider the technology aspect where you know, it's hard to have a different perspective when we're all kind of looking through the same funnel of this completely immediate just plane of constant information of equal importance, seemingly. It's hard to, like, you know, like like have a perspective. Like, I grew up here, I did this, I've never been here, I've never done that. It's like now it's like every fucking person is liable to be exposed to damn near anything. But I do think that there's, you know, there is that lack of space in the real world of, you know, and all these many intersecting reasons, cultures are siloed somewhat sometimes. Like they're not interexposed to each other, which is where all of this comes from ultimately. And, you know, we're getting more and more atomized as we go, so it'll be.
Can I say something
worse.
on that?
Yeah.
That leads me to another thing that I've talked with y'all about before, which is like, I feel like, I mean, I could just go, we need to get organized, and then brush my hands together and then call it a day. But like, I want to be more specific. It's like, I feel like a part of this opening up this world and these spaces where dope stuff is getting made and people are connecting, and there is like I use this phrase cultural consensus or whatever, like there's multiple layers to it. It's like the first step is, I feel like artists who are dope in different areas, literally, I'm sorry, like organizing, like by organizing, I just mean start talking to each other, like fucking set up a group chat on iMessage or Signal or whatever and be like, hey, I respect you and I respect you and I feel like we could do blah, 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 blah together, right? And then and carrying that, and then the next layer is like it's institutional. It's like, what concretely are you creating? How can you get it out to the world and to your respective audiences in a way that's like sustainable? And then carrying that cooperative spirit out across, you know, different mediums and spaces. So collaborating, if you're a musician, collaborating with the visionary directors that you know about and encouraging them to collaborate and organize with other directors and producers or whatever. So, you know, things building out in that way. But then I feel like on top of that, like we literally need to fucking start to start cultivating a new cultural superstructure. We need like new award systems, media, new publications. So where the people who are on the same page about all of these different things we can recognize each other's art, the communities that follow and support our art. We can recognize it and celebrate it together, talk about it on our own terms, and know that people aren't being fucking exploited in the process. Because that's the whole point. It's like to actually sustain it, not just from a economic or material standpoint, but from a social standpoint, like to where people feel like, oh, well, this is different. This is fundamentally different from the fucking Oscars, from the whatever. And also the shit that I'm being exposed to is at a fucking higher caliber, at a higher level than what I'm seeing through these legacy award institutions and media publications or whatever. Like, this is where the good shit is consistently being shared with me. And there's a culture, there's like a culture of humanization, like through and through. It's not this fucking thing where, you know, deep down, damn, there's all these pedophiles in this room, and there's all these like rapists in this room, and everyone's just like, there's gonna be rapists and pedophiles everywhere, for the record, but it's like where you know, people know, where you
look to your left,
where people know,
look to your right,
one of
people
you
know, and there's a silence about it because of the power dynamics. There's not,
of course.
there's not a democratic culture. There's not transparency and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think about that all the time. It's like, dope people need to get together with other dope people who have something to say, start making dope things, and then there needs to be like coverage of that. Like there needs to be like and then discussion about in the coverage and celebration of that. And it's not going to come from the top down. It's not going to be all of this shit that I just described isn't going to be fucking Warner or whoever the fucking it's
going to be consensus. It'll be consensus.
Right.
The best picture of the year. Or maybe the best couple pictures. Maybe it doesn't have to be there's one,
right?
You know,
right?
Like maybe it doesn't.
Or we don't have to. We don't have to rank
yeah,
at
exactly.
all. You know,
right? No one has to win. You know.
Yeah, and then I feel like it's got to. I mean, it doesn't have to start with this, but a big part of it has to be people abandoning this idea that you're gonna have any success in the algorithm. They've somehow created the same exact dynamic they created in the real world, which, you know, they do in many ways.
No,
where people just think they're gonna blow up and get however many thousands of followers. It's like, I think I've said a version of this before, but it's like we've now completely replaced the idea of like capital with social capital. It's like people think that 250,000 followers necessarily translates to money, but like, to put it in perspective, Jabuki was my roommate when he had like hundreds of thousands of followers. Like, it doesn't. We lived in the same apartment in fucking Bushwick. It doesn't mean anything, you know. And
that online capital.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't translate to shit. And we're making. I mean, y'all are making content. I don't really post anything on there like that, but like, people are making content with this idea that they're like, the next one's gonna go viral and I'm gonna get all these followers and everything, and it doesn't mean anything.
You're gonna get your golden ticket, Charlie. You're gonna get your algorithmic golden ticket, Charlie.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Like I am so extremely online. It feels like I'm walking around like the Chernobyl fallout site, like every day. Like I feel like a radiation cancer like burn in my head every day because I'm so online, because I almost feel like it's partially an addiction for sure. But the other part of it is I can't look away. There's just because to me, like whatever I am, part of it is someone who can just look at what the hell is going on and at least package it and say a thing about it.
Yeah.
And the more I see, the more I like start to I start to be able to be the canary in the coal mine, because like there's days where I feel like I'm literally on like the front lines of this algorithm you're talking about, because I see it. My eyes are like this close to it. Like I'm looking at it this close. And it's like between TikTok, all the apps, explore page shit, the AI art, like it is going so fast and it's so shaved down to just the bare, like just silhouette of whatever the thing is, that content is so divorced from it. And it's like, I'm at least like a somewhat like aware person, whereas most people are not aware. Most people, the majority of people are not self-aware people.
Yeah.
Right.
And not in a malicious way.
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
are not. It's
Yeah.
hard to be.
Yeah.
It's hard to have the space. There's a million reasons
Yeah, of course.
why
Yeah.
people are not self-aware. But most of them are not. And I swear to God, it's like moths to the fucking flame, all this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's horrifying. It really is.
I mean,
I just wanted to I don't want to like, I don't want to be weird about it, but like a part of me wants to like, I think it's important that you specifically are saying that because you're someone who, you know, your TikToks go viral regularly. I mean, like you've generated objectively millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of views and impressions over the last 2 years or so. And it's like, we're still like wage slaves. It's like everyone in this room is still a wage slave.
Oh, let me say,
it's like
I have absolutely, just like your Jabuki comment, I have no idea what my reach is.
yeah.
Absolutely couldn't tell you.
Right.
No idea. I could be a little YouTuber. I could be a TV star. I have no idea where in the range I sit. In
But
terms
just
of
to Yedoye's
exposure.
point about that does not trans.
No.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Connor is like exceptional in terms of like the metrics and the stats and all of it. If you just looked at the numbers, it's like, holy shit. And we know other people who are like this, but they're worse off than you because they're still, it's like they're like literally like a fucking zombie for this shit that ultimately isn't going to deliver this. Like you're not going to get this fucking, first of all, the corporate entertainment industry as it works today, it doesn't work the way that some of these people think it does. It doesn't work that you have millions of followers and what it's actually like a lot of it's almost irrelevant. It's like almost entirely irrelevant actually.
Yeah,
like
it is.
the people will say, oh, like, you know, if you are auditioning or whatever, it like gives you that edge or something. And I definitely think that's true. But also the other side of the coin is like, especially when you're deep enough in the entertainment industry, you have enough relationships, you know, it works off of talent, skill, and then social connections and relationships. Right. And so I'm saying this to say that for people like you and others who have these sizable platforms and can consistently go viral, it's like there has to be a collective recalibration and reassessment around that and understanding it as just another potential point of distribution for independent creation. Right, that's how it needs to be understood, not as a pipeline to these exploitative legacy institutions that, you know, that's a fucking crapshoot anyways, you know? It's like
it's gig economy entertainment.
Oh,
what
yeah.
It is.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
It needs to be understood as that.
It's like, no, you're not going to get a job or be discovered. We're going to keep you internship famous. Like it's an internship of fame. It's like you're not getting paid, but you get to say you're on TikTok. You get to say you're verified. You get
you're
that.
one of the most well-known peasants in our field. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You're at the top of our peasant leaderboards. Do you know that?
Right.
Yeah.
Some Hunger Games shit.
Connor harvested the most radishes.
He gets an extra bag of gruel.
He tilled the most turnips this season.
Right.
And I'm like, donate, guys. I'm going to be streaming scything wheat out of the field later. Please donate. Please.
Right.
Those fucking lives.
God.
Please, thank you. Please. And then it's just clearly someone's like PC, this fucking screen on their PC.
Right. Two things. One, what like completely
the mermaid. That was
I got
the funniest part.
The mermaid.
The tongue.
The tongue. That's how you know what's happening.
I promoted a TikTok of mine.
You did.
I did.
You said what?
I
got your ass.
I promoted it. They didn't get me. I knew what I was getting into. I saw the option. I was like, let me just see.
Yeah.
Let me see what this does.
Mm-hmm.
I put like $10 into it. I was like, let me see what this does. It had maybe 500-600 likes when I started, and then over the course of 2 days, which feels like a long time, it went up to like 2,500.
You're welcome, dude.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, TikTok.
But no comments, No other
no,
type of
I hate-
engagement, no sharing, nothing like that. And I thought about it and I clicked and I was just like, they could just raise the number. There's no obligation for them to for this to actually reflect the number of people that like this video.
Oh yeah.
And that just completely snapped me out of any desire to have success on that app.
Yeah, I think,
Because
I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but like TikTok followers does not equate to Instagram. If I had 700,000 Instagram followers, I would not be working.
Right.
Like
We would have never met. We wouldn't.
I'd be fucking like, yeah, I don't know what I'd be doing. You're an influencer at that point, but
It's
yeah,
similar
like,
to Vine. TikTok is similar to Vine in the sense of people are a little bit more loosey goosey, like with what they're they'll more impulsively like something. To follow.
I do that now.
Right.
I'm like,
Well, you
hey, if you made me laugh and I see you follow me, I follow you back.
Yeah.
Right.
You can accidentally follow people on TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's not as much of like this investment.
Instagram,
in,
like people live on it. Like Twitter's really hard to get followers too.
For you.
For you, because I feel like on Twitter
is the thing that I know the most about.
Yeah.
To me, Twitter, it's like there is almost no reason to follow anyone on Twitter. Like that's how I feel, unless it's like really dope.
Yeah.
It could be the funniest tweet you've ever read, and you'll just be like, ha. Anyways.
Oh yeah, the funny,
you
the
don't give a
most
fuck.
viral tweets on, especially in the last few years, the most viral tweets on Twitter are people with like 300 followers.
Right.
Because like something about that app, and it's part of why TikTok is so entertaining, is that people hate watching like professionals do the thing that they're professional at. So like if you're a comedian on Twitter, people fucking hate you.
Right.
Like there's so much vitriol against comedian, and this is not me complaining, I don't care, but like there's so much vitriol on Twitter.
Yeah.
And TikTok is like, it feels like it's built on people that have no intention of ever being in entertainment.
Yeah.
Like
That's partially why I like it. Is 'cause
Yeah.
it's
It's like
it'll be a really funny guy that just works at like a car dealership.
Exactly.
It literally represents Zach's ethos on comedy, which is sort of like
The funniest people are not even.
they're not
Right.
comedians. They're
Right.
just like whatever. So it's like it kind of the cream rises to the top. If you're a funny ass motherfucker, unintentionally or not, people are gonna see it.
The cream and also
my favorite
the crap.
The crap. Yeah.
The dirts.
Yeah, of course.
No, my favorite comedian is Vince Staples.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's, you know, Patrice O'Neal had a quote about that. He was like, yeah, I used to be so funny before I started doing comedy.
Yeah,
like
that's fun.
in the green room.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. That shit is real, bro.
Zaluper's
I
also
think that was on the green room.
funny as fuck.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, man, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, it really is like the internship. Like,
I do want to say this. I do think that this conversation we're having right now is probably the most important one. Like, this is probably the most important conversation as it relates to entertainment, art, culture, because it's tied directly to that. It's tied directly to that feeling we all have of like, damn, why don't they make it like they used to? You know, oh goddamn, because can I find any sense out here? You know, all the boomer, you know, whatever. But no, it's not just that. Like that isn't the only reflection. It's also young people now more than ever getting all of their nutrition, as you put it, from the fucking past. You know, they're feeling they're feeling a faux nostalgia from early 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, you know, quote unquote city pop and all
some
of this
y'all
stuff.
are not supposed to be nostalgic yet. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
for the love of God.
Right.
You're 14.
Right.
Like,
Right. You should be in real time experiencing
there should be
fucking
shit
amazing.
now you're hype about.
Right. See, and that's what I'm
bro.
saying. It's yeah, and it intersects at the cultural, the structural, the economic. Like, it's not just one thing, you know. And like the thing that probably irritates me the most is when I do see people talking about this kind of stuff. It's all about the fucking hamster wheel. It's all about how you can be the exception. The game is the game. There's nothing you can do but try and be the exception in the game. It's like, why can't we just let go of the fucking game and just be bold? And this, look, to be real, this doesn't even, like, as I'm saying this, I know I know who really my target audience is. I know I'm not really talking to most artists and creatives, because most of them it's like they'll like the sentiment, but they'll go, good for you, man. You know, I'm gonna go and get my Grammy, and I'm gonna go and get my whatever. I'm really talking to a specific type of artist and creative who is not too dissimilar from where we've been. They have a certain degree of access, they have a certain degree of experience, and they have a certain degree of knowledge about how the entertainment industry actually works right now. And so they understand how fucking dumb it is, and how whack it is, and how there's no hopeful, bright future in that path. And I feel like if enough of those people like that lie at that intersection can actually connect and fucking put in the work, like this is where the divide can begin, where we can begin to then carve out this entirely different, sure, it'll be underground and it'll be feel more DIY for us on the back end, but oh my God, I personally feel like everyone is just like itching, like the waters will overflow. Like people will just flood into whatever this is, you know, subculturally that we're talking about. I think Jaded and what we're doing with 400 million, it could just be one part of whatever that is, you know? Right. And I think money would be there too. I think money would be there to start up a lot of the stuff that we're talking about from. Maybe they're like, they've been in the business for a long time and they agree with what we're fucking saying about how we already have some of these people in our corner. It's like the more minds though, like that are out here that we haven't connected with yet, the more who sink in with us on this type shit. I can just see it. I can so clearly see people being like, did you just say the Oscars? Who fucking gives a shit about the Oscars? That's whack as fuck.
Go ahead. I was going to say something to that. But
I was going to say, you reminded me of the second point I was going to make earlier, which is I saw a comedian who I really like, and we've talked about offering a $100 social media masterclass on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was just like, in terms of like people getting stuck in that mindset
I think
of
I know who this is.
Yeah, it's like,
are they perhaps on stage from time to time?
Every now and then, here and there.
I love him, but he's clearly grinding.
Yeah, it's like I love him. That's why I don't want to say his name. I was just like when you talk about people stuck in that mindset, like you just gotta grind, you just gotta put your time in, all this shit, and now we've got
and the
people
person
like,
you're talking about grinded very hard.
Long.
Yeah,
a long time.
Of course.
Way longer than necessary, by the way.
Right.
Like,
it's like if anybody has the expertise, sure, but like it's just we're at a point where now, you know, when you talk about the fucking social capital versus real capital, it's like now we got social media speculators like doing all like watching the markets and all this shit. Like it's not like let's just fucking make shit that's good. You know,
and make it's infrastructure like, and distribution
to support that.
Yeah,
because
I think it is a very I think the ultimate scope of it. There's many people that will eventually, once it's more mature, latch on to something like this. But I think right now, people that are willing to have resigned from the logic of the entertainment industry enough to actually adopt now, early adopters of the idea. I think it is quite a few people. It's not a lot of people because it is very hard, because it's like, I mean, I just like when the Grammys announces like what bullshit they picked and people are like literally outraged. I'm like, you're talking about the fucking Grammys. Are we fucking 13?
2010.
Right.
Like, are we 13? Who the fuck cares? What the hell does that mean? Right. I don't give a shit.
And it blows my mind to still see artists out there.
How would you even be mad?
Yeah.
How would you even be mad about this?
Right.
It's the Grammys. And I know it's like this thing where it's like, I have a parasocial relationship with my favorite pop star and they got screwed and we need to fight for them and this isn't right. And it's like, it's like, but dude, your favorite pop star is a fucking illusion. They're a brand, they're a product. Like, yes, they as a person are a person, but like, do you not understand the fucking massive amount of money capital and like mechanisms behind all this? Like, Lil Nas X is like a relatable, funny guy, but like there's fucking warships of power behind him, pushing him forward in the industry. The money he's making,
Right.
like, it's ridiculous. Travis Scott, like, he's gonna go on a fucking world tour next year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fucking massive.
Oh,
it's like
man.
he's a whole company. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
right.
all these people are corporations. These
Yeah.
people are corporations.
Yeah.
Like,
And
stop
it's-
personalizing them.
Yeah, and it's like you talk about like this democratization of entertainment, quote unquote, with TikTok, social media, all this stuff. Just like watching what the algorithm actually boosts and supports, it's almost like they're trying to grab anybody else who's willing to be put in that same position and be a sort of like a buffer between normal people and this fucking wealthy class. You know what I'm saying? It's like
an ambassador on behalf of the ruling class.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in the same way that the middle class was kind of manufactured into being that group. Now we have middle class people with the access and the free time to like put work into all these art forms
Right.
so they can elevate themselves to that.
Right.
And now you have all this access for people who, like I said, have no intention of being entertainers, but they get platformed because they just happen to do something funny, you know, and they get to this point where they have no opinions. They have no real desire to do things any differently because they don't really have any interest in being a part of this ecosystem in the first place. And so they have no reason to really push back against what they may or may not realize it really is. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the classic, you know, like understanding of like, you know, that's why artists get labeled, you know, for the most part, you know, petty bourgeois or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
also related to my aspirations point from earlier. It's like, if you're fucking looking up there, the thing I think that itches me about that is that so many of those same artists, like, they admire the ones who were pioneers, that were subversive, that really didn't even give a fuck about these awards, like to one degree or another, or so many of whom didn't ever win any of them, even, you know? And it's like, I don't know, it just feels sad and pitiful at a certain level. It's like,
it's a choice. It's them being like, yo, I love everything he did, man. Couldn't be me, but I love it. You know, it's the same shit.
It's delusional on multiple layers. I'm not even going to get into, like odds and, the odds of you winning an award or whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like, yeah, if you want to have hope for that, be my guest. But it's like, for that to be like, is that it? Like, that's your fucking, like, what's the point? Like, what's the ultimate
what do you
point?
actually get?
What is the ultimate
I'm
point?
also sorry, but like a Grammy now doesn't mean as much as a Grammy in the 80s. It just literally doesn't.
Yeah.
You won a Grammy in 2022.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint.
Macklemore won a fucking Grammy.
And also in a cultural resonance standpoint.
that too. Yeah.
Like, people used to tune in to the Grammys. It was a whole night and it was a big deal. And like, the album of the year is a big deal. And now it's just like, might as well be like the VMAs. Like, it's the same shit.
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna make another point, but I was just thinking about how, like, apparently like Bruce Willis sold his likeness, I think, this year to like a company, like an AI company. And just thinking about that in the context of like that conversation that was going around the internet recently of, you know, Tarantino bringing up the point, which he wasn't the first to make, about how the superheroes are the actors now.
The movie stars.
The movie stars are superheroes. They're IPs now, basically. They're not people.
Right.
And I think you're seeing that in everything. Like the star of entertainment is now like an IP or a meme or, you know, a CGI character or what have you.
And to me, it's like, yeah, that's not new, but it's like there's an extra pitiful, depressing layer to that, knowing the stage of like collapse that we're in. It's like forest for the trees. It's like at a certain point you gotta be like, what's the ultimate aim here? And I gotta say this, maybe it's tangential, but it's like, and it's no disrespect to genuinely no disrespect to people who like this is how they feel and how they operate right now, but it's like even people who, and I'm saying this stream of consciousness too, like people who are kind of just like, as long as it gets made, you know, like that's my whole thing. As long as I get to make what I want to make, that blows my mind. Even I'm like,
that's
because that's not enough. That's not for me. I know I sometimes I catch myself sounding like a radical Gary V or something. Like I'm just like social and instead of capitalist ends, it's like social ends. But it's like
Gary A.
Really,
like, I wish I was ostracized so I could remake all my friends.
No, but it's the thing of like I said it already. I know I said it already, and I'm like sounding like a broken record. But it's like I need to be a part of a broader culture and system. Like if I'm creating great things, I want to be a part of a broader system and culture where great things are being made.
Right.
Like it does like it's like less to me to even accomplish or make a great thing, and I'm fucking just sitting on a fucking hill.
Here's the
like
thing.
it's like
Your shit, no one's thing is great if there's not like a great world to share it with.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter. If there's a dumbass audience there to consume it, who the fuck cares? I put these TikTok talks out, 90% of the people commenting are fucking idiots that don't get it. Like they get it, but like their take on it is the most like myopic fucking bullshit.
Right.
Whether it's just a simple joke or me having a take or whatever, it's like, well, this is who I'm among. Like this is what the algorithm put me in front of. It's like that's why so many reactionary assholes follow me, because it's just like the algorithm can't account for like the person, the actual like profile of the person. It just takes little slivers of it and matches it up with some numbers and some metrics and goes fucking Bucky the goddamn, sorry Buck, but you know, whatever, Rick. Oh, fuck, Ricky. I don't know, whoever. Some hick.
Richard.
Some Richard guy is going to like interpret your video the right way and like it because it's about Call of Duty. When I'm like, maybe I'm making a joke that's a little bit deeper than, I don't know, whatever. But it's like, it's like, yeah, I fucking like,
can I say
if I'm, you know, if any of us are heralded as great, it's like, by whom?
Right.
Yeah.
By whom?
Right.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
I mean, bro, in the stand-up world, I still got to contend with like I have an audience on Twitter, but I don't have that big an audience. I still have to contend with the fact that most people coming to my shows are not people who know me, people who understand me. You know what I'm saying? And this is all, I say this because these are all people coming from social media. People still come to shows and they're just like, oh, I didn't really understand what it was going to be. I didn't really know it was going to be like that. And it's just like, nope, there's no way of getting the whole picture if we're just living completely online. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we have to, like, on top of building all this shit on the internet, we also have to just, like, you know, build shit in the real world, you know?
It's just sad, man. Platforms like YouTube, Patreon, Spotify, they're all ass. They don't respect your privacy, they're riddled with ads, and they're completely silent and unreachable when you need help. Have you ever talked to somebody at YouTube? Think about that. I sure haven't. To top it all off, we don't control them at all, despite being the reason they exist.
So that's why we're partnering with a design and development agency called Sanctuary Computer to build our own cooperative alternatives that bring the best features of all those platforms together and that we can control together too.
We seriously got to have an exodus to some sort of digital Zion that we've built ourselves. Somewhere where all of us can actually have a say over the technology that we're using to communicate with each other. For more on how you can support us all in getting off these shitty platforms, visit opencollective.com/digital Zion and tap in.
Just because these dystopian systems are eating themselves alive
doesn't mean they gotta take us with them.
I think this part of the conversation like dovetails nicely with something I wanted to say about how even I feel like at least what I'm saying about wanting to be a part of a broader subculture, culture, community that's creating great things and is perceiving and receiving great things and having rich communication with each other, because that's what I feel like art is. I feel like a part of that perspective that I'm sharing is literally informed by this fear of not wanting to feel alone. You know, it's like, which, you know, all of us feel, we talk about feeling isolated and fragmented and whatever in terms of like the broader systems of and structures of society. And I think like really what we're saying like has like there's broader implications to what we're saying. It's like I want to create something great and have it go out there and actually feel like I have a sense of a pulse. I have a sense of who gets the layers of it, and then be able to look at creative peers who are creating very different things from me, but they can still understand and receive what it is that I'm doing. And then the broader audience, quote unquote, or broader, quote unquote, consumers or whatever, they are also an extension of this like real community, like this sense of like, oh no, we're on the same page, or we're on the same wavelength, and like they can deeply appreciate what it was that you communicated and adequately support you in your artistic communications. And that's just the norm, you know, for everyone who's creating. But it's like at the end of the day, it's not like I got my fucking shiny award and hopefully it gets me more business and more, you know, more gigs and whatever. It's a cultural respect, cultural like consensus thing where you made something great and you feel like this was stamped, and you know, and it was stamped by people that I respect and who are also getting a chance to like be seen. And then at the end of the day, we don't have to worry about getting more work. We don't have to worry about, you know, the next quote unquote gig or job.
That's the part of it that kills me, bro, is like having that sense that that's why I like pumped the brakes on everything in recent months, where I was just like getting that sense that everything is just like a badge or a resume builder just to put toward the next thing that I might not even enjoy. Right. And it's like, whether it's in the interest of the algorithm or more legacy industry shit, it all just feels like everybody's kicking the can of their own artistic integrity down the road, right? Until they build up the credibility to be able to do what they want to do.
Credibility.
Yeah, it's like, but there are people like for example, Brad Pitt, who I know has some like fucked up shit going on right now, I guess, but
yeah, he's abusive to his family.
Yes,
for those that don't know.
Yes. But he had a career for what, 20, 30 years before he started producing a bunch of other people's shit, which like he was one of the biggest actors, at least in the country, if not the world, in the 90s. And then didn't produce other people's films till 20 some years after that. It's like people who get to that point in the industry still don't feel like they have the power or the access to create their own shit. Yeah. So why follow this path to be at all? You know, right. If it never yields that, if not the actual like material resources, the feeling that you have them and that you can actually spare them in the interest of your art without the cosign of some whatever production company or corporation, you know? Right. It's like if you never actually attain that, and people are speaking to the fact that you never actually attain that, then just do the shit you want to do, right? You know?
It's funny, just as a side note, like Tarantino in that Segura interview was like, he was like, do you like produce movies? He's like, making movies is really hard. If I'm not making a movie for me, I'm not making a fucking movie. Which I understand. Because it is. And also, that's probably tied into the same factors. What makes a movie hard is all these like limitations and scarcity and all that stuff.
And it's really appealing.
It's a business deal. It's a massive, stressful business deal. And wouldn't you know it, fucking shoving creativity through the funnel of like a business deal kind of limits you, or like it's once again just despite that setup, is anything good ever made?
And it is appealing to have somebody come to you and say, we'll do most of this work for you, you know? Right. It is, there is value to that, but at the end of the day, that's just people.
Mm.
That's just people with resources. You know, you can find people with resources as an individual. It's like one of the biggest issues I have in the industry is that the way a lot of people relate to you is purely on the basis of, I have these connections that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
I have connections. You want connections, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can make connections, you know?
Yeah.
They do a very good job of convincing you that you can't. But I can make fucking connections. I have that capacity. Humans are social creatures.
Here's the most important part about that. You're taking one of the most sacred things about human life, which is the genuine connection of two human beings and their relationship with each other, and you have fully commodified it. I cannot think of anything more dehumanizing than your motivation for connecting with another human being on this chaotic, lawless, violent world we are born into non-consensually, than fucking commodifying that, which to me is why, like, baked into, to stay psychologically sane, baked into this ambition I've ever had to do anything has been, I'm not going to do that though. Not stepping into that room. Like, like in high school, as early as high school, you know, it's really important to make good connections, network. What the fuck are you ingraining in a child's mind about how they socialize? They're not even fully socialized as human beings yet.
Right.
And you're telling them this will lead to a good job, get into a good school.
Right.
And you know what? Fuck it. It may just be good be good down the line. You never know.
Right.
Nest egg. It's like, that is, you're fully programming out the basic kinship of human beings from adolescence.
Going to a high school with mostly white kids which I had never done before that point, and seeing the frequency that people are like writing thank you letters to strangers who were just like at a thing.
I never got that.
Dog, that shit was
thank you letters, man.
Yeah, I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, you don't give a fuck about that man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't talk to him. You don't talk to her. Why are you doing this? Why are any of us doing this? What the fuck? And they like people trying to ask me to do it. I'm just like, no, absolutely not. You know, it's like just this maintaining of connections just in case. Or like I have a cousin who growing up would always tell me like, you got to be nice to everybody because you never know who they might become. I'm just like, what if I just was nice?
What if I don't like them?
Yeah. What if they suck?
What if I don't care?
What if who they become is? What if they were gonna become Hitler?
Yeah.
You know. And I was nice to them. Now I gotta deal with being nice.
That's a cool painting, man. Nah. Take my number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say though, and this is like a nuanced, I guess, perspective on it. This is why I feel like it's so important for, you know, what we're trying to cultivate in terms of like cooperative or democratic, I don't know what to call it, culture, industry, whatever. Like why it's so important that something like that be embedded in, rather people who are trying to cultivate this kind of thing, embed it in efforts to create decommodified space materially. Because for most people, like one thing most people have in common is that they don't want to starve and that they want to live comfortably and that they don't want to have to worry about rent and they don't want to have to worry about whatever.
Just most people.
Yeah, and explicitly establishing that as a motivation in an effort to create or to whatever, and then having a clear, transparent process in which we can articulate how all of us achieve that together through whatever we're doing. It helps to cultivate a certain level of trust that, again, it's like it's embedded in something real that actually serves everyone and isn't just material. It is social as well. And it does make everyone feel like if I do great, it's going to impact other people positively and myself. It's impacting me positively and other people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what separates fundamentally what we're talking about from like a traditionally capitalist startup or business and entertainment or
Because that's where it
otherwise.
stops short. Me.
Right.
It just
Right.
stops
Hamster
there.
wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone, we can all be in the same company or whatever, but we're all these in a capitalist context. You're an isolated being who is here to generate an output.
Right.
Whereas if you've opened up a space and it's like we're trying to create great things, distribute it in a better way where we actually have control and so on and so forth, and we have this North Star of all of us not having to worry about rent anymore or our food or whatever, and then you have like this democratic process on top of it in all of its iterations and shapes and forms and dimensions. Like now I feel like, you know, we're talking about something. It's like we can be real. Like it opens up space for authenticity. Like we're not playing any of the social games that you have to in a capitalist firm of like, oh, we're not really all, you know, we're a family here. We're not really all just here because we need fucking money. Oh, we're a family. It's like, no, it's like we can acknowledge that we don't want to fucking suffer and that we also want to do fulfilling things with our labor and with our time and our energy and our resources. And yeah, I feel like the rest of the conversation is just like the logistics and around how that comes about and where.
It's sad though, because like that instinct, that like scarcity logic and everything, it's like it's so deeply ingrained.
Oh, yeah.
in so many
pervasive,
people.
bro.
Oh yeah.
And like
Even the hamster wheel instinct of I
Yeah.
just
Right.
gotta be on my own though.
Yeah.
Like, I
You know
just
what?
gotta.
You know what I keep thinking of is there's this sound that's been going around on Instagram that where people will just like post whatever their talent or their skill is, their art or whatever, and the
I
sound
know
is
which
somebody
sound
just
you're talking
going, yo, my homie was like, how come you're not famous yet? Because you didn't share my shit.
about. Right.
Why didn't you share my shit? And it's just like it like irks me every time because I'm just like, it's so stuck in this logic of just like everybody in this bitch needs to come together and support me by myself.
Right. Right.
Right.
I deserve to be famous because you can
Entitlement.
see that I have a middling at best level of ability in this art.
Yeah.
Right.
I make a type of painting.
I make a type of painting that a lot of people don't do because it's not good. And everybody needs to rally.
Why didn't you
all
share
their
my
shit.
Juice World album cover art variant?
It's like, it's just so, it's so upsetting every time somebody posts that. 'Cause I'm just like, yo, that makes me not give a fuck about whatever you do. 'Cause like, I know so many other people that have been struggling just as hard, if not harder than you to make better shit. So like, we can get into a contest where we're going back and forth and telling each other your art sucks, no, your art sucks, and like you should support mine, or we could just like link up and actually build some shit too.
We should get to what Tim Rogers calls the bottom line. And the bottom line is that the solution to get out of this shit is through cooperation, is through collective action. That's the only way anything's gonna fucking change.
Yeah. Not
That's it.
waiting.
Yeah,
Not
so-
waiting.
Yeah.
Not, hey, how you doing over there? Good. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, like you're on separate arcade machines playing different games. No, you're
Yeah.
all in the same game.
Yeah.
Right.
We got to hack this shit together.
I've finally been I've been getting into, I swear this is relevant. Been getting into people's history of the United States finally. I've read little pieces of it, but just thinking about how intentional so much of the building of this country was, particularly in the sense that to exactly that point, people are just, the creation of this country was so broad, and this was when it was just 13 colonies, and now it's 50 plus a bunch of territories that people don't talk about because they don't want to contend with America's existence as an empire. But the fact that it was founded explicitly with the intent that like insurrectionary or revolutionary movements could not spread because they couldn't gain broad support across this much space, you know?
Wow.
And now that's just like, translated
That's
entirely
crazy.
onto the digital space. You know, it's just crazy to think about things like that, and that they were honestly. That was fuck. Y'all snapped with that shit, bro. That was crazy. Y'all really, that shit is really going until this day.
Dude,
And people don't think that shit like this can work, you know?
I had this realization. We were recording Welcome Book the other day, and I introduced Max and Tony as my best friends from the great Gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri, because that's what it's called. And then I realized, as I was saying, I'm like, that's racist, actually. I was like, this shit's about manifest destiny. That's why it's called that shit. It's called Gateway to the West, but it's like they needed the whole fucking West to get everyone spread out and then federalized.
Yeah. Oh,
to a central banking system.
right.
So let me be concrete in my appeal here. Like, and I'm saying this genuinely. I'm not trying to be funny or set up a joke. Like if you're
It's giving this is not funny at all energy.
Yeah,
I
don't think
I was just getting ready to laugh. I could just tell.
It's just me saying I'm trying to have a serious, make a serious point and a serious appeal. But like, if you're anyone who's like heard what we're talking about and like it resonates no matter where you're at in the industry, like my appeal and challenge would be to like really pause for a second and like assess what you already have at your disposal, not just money or like resources or technology, but literally your own skills and your own relationships, you know, and I would ask you to reach out because I personally believe like the shit that we're talking about with the right people invested and the right people engaged, and it's not just going to be like, I do like cultural workers as a phrase more broadly because there's a lot of roles to be filled in what we're talking about. It's not just the people in front of the camera. It's all the people behind the camera. It's all the people involved with the technology. You know, it just goes on and on and on in terms of how expansive the industries are that make quote unquote entertainment. But if you're anywhere within that, like I would just implore you to just reach out, even if it's like asking questions or, you know, you want to pick our brains about something more specific in what we've been talking about. Just do it, because what the fuck else are we going to do? It's like, we're just going to sit here with our thumbs up our asses. Like as all of this, I mean, shit
We
gets
can
worse.
do that too, but
Shit gets worse culturally. Shit gets worse structurally, you know, less opportunity. It's like, we've said it before. It's like, you know, I know I'm like a broken record, but it's like we have nothing to lose at this point but our chains. It's like, and all of the fucking opportunity in the world as far as the US is concerned. I'm sorry, like that's another thing I'm going to keep repeating. We have so much access in this country. It's fucking ridiculous. So much in terms of resources, so much in terms of like relative stability. There's still so much opportunity to do some of the things that we're talking about. And then where I really get excited is like, God, what are the collective implications of like a large enough group of people being organized in this way? Like, what are the implications for people outside of quote unquote this entertainment thing who are looking in and seeing all of these people in this respective industry living in this way, and literally like they're in the world living in this way? And the curiosity, the questions, the conversations that get raised, you know. And the other thing I want to say, I'll put a pin in it here, is like, let go of this idea of like whatever the people who are trying to carve out this alternative path having all of the answers. Like, no one has all of the fucking answers. No one has everything figured out anywhere. Yeah, even the people upholding these systems of oppression and domination do not have every facet of what is going on, like an understanding of all of it. They just don't. You have people who have different focuses in different areas, and they organize with each other. And out of that organization comes the broader picture of the quote unquote system. And all we're saying is there should be people who have different focuses in different places, industrial, social, whatever, who share these values around cooperation, not having landlords, not having bosses, wanting decommodified space, the commons. All of these types of people, starting from our context of the arts and entertainment, just coming into the same room and figuring out, okay, yeah, I agree with that, and I agree with that. Okay, so let's figure it out. You know?
Yeah, to that point, like I hear constantly a lot of good faith like questions like what is the alternative? What do we do? And I know we've talked about it on here a lot, but it's like at the base level, you should just realize it's what's not the solution. What's not like that at the baseline, you have to see what's not going to work.
So you can stop looking back. Like you're wasting your time. Like
it doesn't matter if we have a concrete, because here's the thing, like you also have to start thinking in the context of like, not every solution is going to work for every single fucking person. It's more an instinct. It's a sensibility, a tendency. There's certain principles like, I don't know, like democracy is one of them. Consensus. Like everyone having the most amount of freedom they possibly can, the most amount of autonomy they possibly can.
To be
even more simply,
to be more explicit about what you're saying, the idea that any one person should have all the ideas or have it all worked out is some authoritarian bullshit.
Right.
Nobody has that.
That's when you're going into cult territory.
Yeah.
Like that's when you're dealing with a fucking cult.
Right. And
exactly.
Right. And even asking that question perpetuates this notion that we should be in that type of territory. You know what I'm saying? It's like forcing people to answer that question just entirely defeats the purpose.
Like if you're
saying,
like
how would you impose your little world on me? It's like, well, I wouldn't. I don't have a way of doing that because that's a defining aspect of the world I'm trying to build, is that people don't do that.
Like what a fucking like 30,000 population of 30,000 like town in like Iowa needs to do if they have like their own culture versus us, a group of entertainers that met on literal social media apps
and living in New York City.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same shit. But it will both be rely on each other. That's it. And don't need someone in charge.
And here's what I want to underscore on that point. Let's zoom out because people are, the questions will always be never ending. But the big things I always see come up, they're always about money, and they're always about like access. They're always about like reach. Those are like the main sort of like things that I see. And
the main one is like the survival of the fittest instinct of like everyone's naturally competitive and nature's hierarchical. Like that's the big one apart from
sure. But I'm thinking of people that are just like they're still trying to grasp with the idea that what we could be suggesting is even fundamentally possible. And it's like, and they'll think about like people's conditioning as it stands now, but then they're thinking about, okay, well, where are you getting the resources to even start some of what you're talking about? And like I've always said and felt, at least for the last few years, like the money is fucking out there to like kickstart whatever. It just is like, and
obviously like these crypto apps.
But I'm saying like even for like, okay, like the collective intelligence, like enough people at the same intersection as us who understand what we're saying, if they all got in a room and strategized with each other, no one is going to convince me that all of those people couldn't come out with resources of all sorts to start doing all kinds of things. No one in the world could convince me otherwise. I'm just sorry. Like through whatever means, whatever means, are there.
And it would probably be like experimental. It would be like experimentation, and like it would be scientific to a degree of like, let's just see what actually works. We got to work this out.
But to me, to have nestled in there as an X factor of baseline trust with each other, baseline survival needs. We're first and foremost getting everyone in this room out of a scarcity zone.
Right.
That's first and foremost. As an incentive, and even as like a trust building thing, like I it's just so clear cut to me. And we've said it before. What are then the implications beyond that? Now you have space to create more, to do more things.
Well,
You
no,
know?
no. Once everybody has all their needs met, we run out of money. That's how it works.
It's true. And we would have to make more.
Yeah,
We'd have to make a profit.
Yeah, there's not enough money for that.
There'd be the growth would stop.
The growth,
The growth would cease.
Yeah.
No, but
So-
even if it's like talking to, you know, quote unquote angel funders or investors, or finding people out here who they have generational wealth and they're aligned with what we're talking about. These people exist, you know, like they're out here, and there's even more people to be won over. And then if we actually create the proper distribution technology and systems, then we can self-sustain, generate resources through our art and the things that we're creating, and that can sustain, you know, the spaces that we've been able to open up.
It's like becoming scarcity neutral. You know how they say like they're carbon neutral? It's like I'm scarcity neutral. You know, there's no scarcity. We're past that. It's just kind of a self-generating thing. Yeah.
But that
scarcity neutral cars.
yeah, there's something, I don't know, that I do find myself underscoring the trust point too, and I do think that's a conversation in and of itself.
Well, I think that's what comes also from like generational communities. There's just a trust. It's like, oh, this family, like we like go generations back. You can trust literally any one of them. Like,
Yeah.
and then now you're functioning with that level of trust. It's like,
Yeah.
it's pretty strong,
Right.
you know.
I mean,
Right.
I'm thinking of like, that's like in a broader sense. I'm thinking about immediate, like even in us in terms of like, especially dealing with artists, and especially dealing with artists who have been primed and conditioned in all the ways that we just described.
Right.
Like people feeling like people have ulterior motives and whatever.
Yeah.
Like beyond what I just said, like having motives beyond the baseline survival and trust and community.
Sad when you meet someone and you can feel that in them, like that distrust. You're just like, oh
Yeah.
man,
You're just like, what do you want?
like you're a mile away.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you are a mile's arm reach
Right.
right now. Like,
Just like, what the fuck do you want?
yeah, it's like just so not. It's just so not real. It's complete simulation of who they are.
me, pal?
There's another implication. There's another implication in there though of like, yeah, you start small, and yeah, you do have a proper vetting system, and like I would imagine with what we're trying to do, you know, I would hope that over time, you know, it's like it can be a smoother, you know, there's a smoother process that allows us to keep expanding with respect to autonomy and democracy
right.
and all of that, and that's something we'll have to figure out. But I don't put it past us. Like we have the ability. I feel like it has to start there with some of these people. Like you have to at least understand and acknowledge that, you know. And I know I've said it before again, but like this shit is relatively new. The entertainment systems and industries and legacy institutions, all of this shit is relatively new. This is all stuff for the most part that's from the last 100 or so years.
Yeah.
So like, don't fucking think that like that's the end all be all,
Right.
you know, like that's it, you know?
Right.
And also it's like, yeah, it's fucking built on a foundation of skeletons and fucking dead bodies. Countless corpses.
The entertainment
like,
industry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Oh,
fuck
God.
that shit. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Fuck that shit. Like
It needs
why,
to be dismantled and
why
destroyed.
would you even want to associate yourself with it?
I just really want to meet Alec Baldwin.
If I see Alec Baldwin and Woody Allen in the
for at least
street,
one of those bodies.
if I see Alec Baldwin and Woody Allen in the street, let me tell you something.
Throw an egg at that nigga.
I'm
head.
doing a double katana slice through both of them like that, like that, and then I'm like 20 yards away, and they go, and they fall like that.
Slice him up like Barack.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Mortal Kombat.
I've fulfilled my vengeance. Okay,
That's the other level too.
that was
right?
for
Like,
the
aren't-
IG live that you
Aren't we
guys
sick
did.
and tired of rewarding sociopaths? Like, god damn.
Yeah.
Dude, there's
I
some.
know I am. I mean, like I'm just tired. Like
I'm tired of being a sociopath and being so fucking rewarded all the time. Everybody just gives me so much. They put their whole lives and energy into just supporting me, and it's really annoying. I'm a sociopath. I don't need you.
There's this podcast where these guys talk about basically like ejaculation, I guess, jerking off, and they interview porn stars all the time. And they're just like that. What?
No jumper?
No, I mean that too. But yeah, just I guess what I'm trying to say is like LA is really a monster right now. Like LA is a nightmare with like between crypto streamers, fucking like that type of shit. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Place.
It's been horrifying the whole time. I remember one time.
How do you raise a family there? In that degeneracy. Those liberal fuck. I'm just kidding.
Liberal fuck.
Liberal fuck. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, years ago I went to this dude's studio in LA. It was like a photo studio, not a studio apartment.
That sentence already terrifies me.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well,
I'm thinking of Terry Richardson. Is that his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He told me that Chief Keef was supposed to be there and all this shit. They were gonna take pictures with Chief Keef. He never showed up. At one point, they explicitly asked me if I was an influencer. I was like, if I was, wouldn't you know that? But I actually didn't know what an influencer was at the time, so I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
We just ended up just
like under the influence?
Yeah.
Like alcohol?
Yeah. We just ended up riding around hoverboards in his fucking studio, and then I had a panic attack and cried by his rooftop pool.
That sounds like a day in LA. That sucks.
Yeah, I moved back to Atlanta within 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Just a nightmare place.
Yeah. It's fucking sick. It's one place on earth where you see people that you've admired your entire life and you just could not give less of a fuck.
Yeah, it's really
I'm
disillusioning.
not just tired of that. I'm tired of the quote unquote discourse cycles. I'm tired of I'm tired of the whole thing. I don't want there to be I want there to be space that is not fertile for any of that stuff to even germinate.
Mm-hmm.
You're always gonna have drama. You're always gonna have gossip. You're always gonna have fucked up people who do fucked up things and make mistakes, and that's just a part of like human nature and organization and whatever. But at least if there's like a democratic culture, a cooperative culture, a culture of transparency, diversity, like all of these different things, like it minimizes so much stuff. I mean, it minimizes the odds of so much of this crap from being able to evolve, But that's another part. That's like an underbelly of all the shit that we were even just talking about now.
Yeah, dude.
There's like so many layers to why it sucks. It's kind of incredible. It's like impressive,
Yeah.
But if anything, it just reinforces my hope and imagination around the shit we're proposing. All the beautiful things that could blossom out of a democratic and cooperative, creative culture and subcultures globally that we can't even imagine right now.
Yeah.
The beautiful ways that people come together to support each other in a sustained way, in an institutional way, the creative things people think of to support an amazing project or support another artist, or to create decommodified space for the commons somewhere else, where you're just like, God damn, look, all they needed was the fucking kickstart. All they needed was enough people already doing some of this shit to just take it and run with it. Right. And that's where my brain goes crazy, because I'm like, that's where we're talking about some revolutionary shit. Like that's where we're talking about we are fundamentally departing. We're having an exit from capitalism.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, man.
At least the social logic of capitalism.
Exactly. I mean, that also informs what people post about what the discourse is.
Yeah.
They're posting it sometimes in a way that's like for engagement. You know what I mean? And then that engagement hopefully leads to fucking, you know, an audience or whatever.
Yeah.
That's baked into everything.
The attention economy.
If I could live in a world where we don't have people like Adin Ross finding out what fascism is for the first time.
Fascism.
Fascism.
Yeah.
At how fucking old is that kid?
And he didn't get it until he saw
In
a
his
Nazi
20s.
Till
party.
he saw a Nazi party. He
In
called
his 20s.
Benito Mussolini. He called what?
He's like, I don't know the fuck.
What did he say? Benito Mussolini.
Mussolini, yeah, something like that.
He said ultra national.
Autocracy.
I don't know what any of this means, bro.
Autocracy.
I gotta be honest. I don't know. I have a clue what any of this fucking means.
Yeah.
And he's just got
In a
mansion
fucking mansion. Yeah,
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
marble floors behind
that
him.
he
Right.
In a
probably
gamer chair.
literally owns. He's that rich.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like one of the biggest streamers in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him. Aiden Ross.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
he's-
before I
he's-
hit the
Oh,
video.
where you didn't know?
He's
Yeah.
massive. Yeah, he's massive.
Fucking insane, bro.
Yeah.
You just sees Hitler. It's like
Fascism?
this is why I don't fuck with y'all, chat. This is why I don't fuck with y'all. If I ever
hate chat.
if I ever call a group of people
so
chat,
much.
Yo, if I ever
is
say
so
chat,
disgusting.
just
call you out.
you know what to do.
right?
No, further than that. Take me in the back.
Like
Load it
old
up.
Yeller.
Old Yeller,
Load
yeah.
He's gone.
Dude.
Do him a
That's
favor.
why I don't fuck with y'all, chat,
Oh God.
Yeah.
bro. Oh my god, man.
I
can't imagine I can't imagine.
It's like, did a part of you die when the first time you decided that you were going to use that terminology? It's like, did a part of you die? You know,
Yeah.
like watching some of these
It
people.
had to be like a. It had to be
Like,
like
they
a
went,
conscious
Did
choice
a part
to be
of
like,
you die when you
like
said
they
that?
when you uttered the word chat. Come on, chat. Give me more. You know, it's like
have you no sense
Thank you,
of
chat.
decency, sir?
chat.
Thanks, chat.
Thanks, chat.
What do you think, chat? Where should we go?
Like it's just
It's like
this
Fallout
sentient.
blowing someone's head
It's
off.
like a sentient blob of like
Yeah.
Right. It's like
data.
it's like the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's like
of-
an AI.
Yeah.
Chat.
Right.
What should we do here?
It's like
Right.
it's like the polar opposite of the masses as a phrase.
Right.
It's like the other end of the spectrum.
Well, shit, no. I mean, mass line, like as a concept, is
Yeah.
like interpret the desires and will of the mass, and then you determine what you determine
Right.
what you will impose on them. Essentially,
Right.
literally, that is
Dude.
literally live
I guess-
stream chat is mass line praxis,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, love it, love it.
Aesthetically, but yeah.
Oh fuck, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to interpret the will of the input. You have to
interpret the will of the chat. And see
just-
what-
It's just making me
what
think
we
of
post on.
Nick Fuentes talking about. So my algorithm, speaking of, has recently. I think it's because I've been saving videos, being like, "This is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life," like said,
Mhm.
and it's from like probably Kanye or Nick Fuentes, so I save it, and now it's just like, oh, here's like a bunch of Andrew Tate videos, like it's gone like
Oh, yeah.
20x, like it's like just every third video is Andrew Tate, like here you go, and it's just like I'm like, how is there this much content out here?
Right.
But yeah,
Did you see the
Can I say this really quick?
I was just gonna say what
Can
Nick
someone,
Fuentes was.
you know,
was
really
saying.
quick, just a quick note. Andrew Tate, whatever he did with his show or whatever, we need y'all to do this. We need y'all to help us out. You
Yeah,
need
we
to
need
make
y'all-
edits, make
Oh,
whatever.
man.
You don't have
If
to
only it
even
were that easy.
You
We
don't
need
even
y'all-
have to add us. Just fucking make it, throw it up on the internet, make YouTube accounts, make TikTok accounts.
We need y'all to enroll in Jaded University, and part
No,
of the
no, no.
tuition
I'm not
is
a
to just
neurologist,
No.
but like
That's what he
Andrew
did.
Tate
That's what he
reaches
did.
into a like portion of the young man's brain that is so reptilian and like primal. We
But
can
what
never
I'm talking
compete with
about
that. I'm sorry.
In terms of media, like digital communications, it's like organically going on the offensive. That's what Jaded Forum needs. We need aggressive Jaded Forum.
the collective
we need a
spirit
Ja-
bomb of
we need-
misogyny
we
is,
need a
is,
Jaded
like,
Forum
impossible to
street
compete
team.
with.
we need
Open-
a Jaded Forum street team.
We
That
need
is
y'all-
what we need.
We need y'all to open a portal into hell.
Yeah. That's really the Doom guy has to solve this.
Yeah. What were you saying, Nick Fuentes said?
Oh, he was just like, who I'm trying to reach is like, like genius young men. That's who I'm trying to reach.
Who thinks
and he like
sex
starts
with women is
screaming
gay.
he starts screaming about how women are stupid and how like you could cook 1 billion of them and it wouldn't be worth one Elon Musk.
What?
Like just
cook.
Yeah. And he was like, you could throw them all in a, and then he like starts laughing because he clearly was about to say an oven and like, yo.
Oh man.
Freaky.
The video of the Israelites at Barclays talking to have you seen the more recent one?
Yeah.
Where they're talking about they're telling this dude like, first of all, you are not a real Jew. You've stolen the Jewish people's identity.
Right.
And he like,
man, things are really bad right now.
Yo, bro,
things
it's
are
so
really,
rough.
really bad.
Where the funniest part to me, he's like, he brings up Kanye and he's like about his support of Hitler. He goes, "Yeah, we support Hitler." And then this dude,
Good
turns the
God.
camera on himself and he goes, "All of you?" as though they'd all just be gathered randomly with one dude that fucks with Hitler and they don't have anything to say about like, could anybody else speak to their experience? Y'all, all of you fuck with it. It's like, yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm at an impasse with this.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shit is really bad. They're also they're doing the fucking like Charlottesville ass like HBO Watchmen shit with the masks and the khakis and the
I saw that
someone
shit,
said
though.
it looks like it's KKK, but they work at Best Buy, and that's exactly what it looks like. And it's terrifying. They're armed, like they got flags. They're going to drag show, like scheduled drag show events. And
Yeah, didn't they like shut down the power somehow? I forget how they.
I don't know, man, but shit is really fucking bad.
Yeah, this shit is.
When people are talking about
timeline, bro.
like I think America's turning into a fascist country. It's like it
Turning
already is, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely already is.
Yeah, it's like the only reason it wasn't explicitly that is because for fucking hundreds of years we had this fucking middle line just protecting the notion of America, you know what I'm saying? And the people that actually had any type of revolutionary intent just were like completely silenced.
I mean, I'm gonna always say America been fascist the whole time. It's just a authoritarianism and democracy it's like a spectrum. You know?
Exactly.
So it's like, but
it's just how fascist to what how
chattel
fascist you wanna go.
chattel slavery.
Right.
I mean, look, if you want to be particular about fascism and like, talk about, totalitarian, authoritarian state, and it's vague, broad strokes when people use the term, fascist and talk about fascism. But yeah, I mean, like the through line is authoritarianism and then just how bad it gets at different junctures and points in time. And on that point, I wanted to say, I think it's interesting, like looking at all these characters, Nick Fuentes, Milo, which I didn't even think I was going to bring his name up ever again. I thought that was niggas is reaching back in the fucking catacombs.
It's
They're
like when
going down into the catacombs of like
this is like
right wing history to
they
find.
bring back a character, but it's a different voice actor. You're like, what? This isn't even. We're done with this shit. Like that dude died.
But even Jordan Peterson. Like name all the characters. Like whatever. The thing that I find, I guess, interesting is, one, how not on the same page any of these. I mean, the right wing is splintered and fascists are splintered 1,000,001 different ways, just like the so-called left is and liberals are. But it is interesting to see, I guess, the through line of all of them trying to. Everything is about proximity to state power and influence still. And it'll be interesting to see how that changes over time as the state and different parts of the state begin to fracture, which I believe is going to happen within our lifetime. And specifically the military, like around the military, and just seeing how these different figures, some of whom they might just be talking heads for now, but we know from history that some of the talking heads of today can be the fascist leaders of the future. Like there's plenty of precedent for this
David
all around
Byrne
the world.
will be the fascist leader of the future.
But
No.
but seeing like, I guess, seeing who is able to, you know, have their platform, so-called platform, like translate into some type of militant organized force that has space to, you know, like not street skirmishes and whatever with police and whatever, but to where now we're seeing a merging of maybe it's parts of the military, or, you know, we're talking like people might perceive it as, oh, it's a coup, but like if the state is fracturing and the integrity of USA is fracturing,
right?
Now what are we talking about? And
unfortunately, I mean, I don't know of a lot of like private security, ex-police, ex-military that are like left-leaning most of the time.
Then we're talking. That's
like who has the kind of like most violence on their side, and
so it's okay. There's the state, and then there's capital, and there's like there's the state. The state is obviously shaped by capital, but there's a lot of different social tendencies and interests behind capital.
Right.
So, to say it in a phrase, like the state is not a monolith. None of this shit is like monolithic. So it'll just be interesting to see who out of these talking heads gets where and what they do with the power and influence that they have, and how the rest of us will be prepared or not be prepared to confront that or relate to it. You know, I know we've joked about it before, like, you know, New Vegas style, everything breaking up, and so the YouTubers have an army, a utopian city. You know, it's like they all have their own like stronghold. This
like chat will be the name of the populace. You know,
let us consult with chat. Chat, how are we feeling about the incursion offensive facing our stronghold this winter?
Just like that
Utah.
that 80s Apple commercial with just the Big Brother vibes. Just
they're all
chat.
hive-minded. They all speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
We got to start thinking about this shit though. All the motherfuckers who, you know, they get a little scary when they hear like some of the shit we talking type shit. It's like you gotta prepare for that shit type shit. Like you gotta get ready for real. I'm not trying to sound like Alex Jones, but like shit finna get real in the field for real out here. Like you need to get prepared.
That's how you know this is the most serious shit he said all episode.
Exactly.
You said this before. You said this before.
Yeah.
I cloak the scary shit in the goofiest of phrases. And
you're one of the few people I know who like what you say is so to the point when you do that. When you do that, but the voice is very silly. But you don't mince words.
It's also you know, I think it's subconsciously also me, like I don't get my rocks off scaring people, like being like you got to be ready because they're coming. You know, it's like I'm not like, you know, jerking off here to you better be ready. The fascists are coming. It's like, because what does that accomplish?
It's just about like kind of accepting reality. That's really all it is. It's not about being scared. It's just like, look at it, notice it, acknowledge it.
Right.
Can we do that?
But it's also, it's that thing of like, I do think it's important to underscore, like, I realize this is a show and we're like having funny and entertaining conversations, but like, I'm not trying to like, I don't like people that the conversation about state collapse and about fascism or whatever is like almost like just a spooky, like like thrill seeking whatever. Like when I talk about it, I'm talking about it like to swing it back to the actionable and practical of the here and the now, you know, to avoid it. But it's like, but people do need to understand like what is possible, and they also need to understand like what you know, the powers that be, to use a phrase, are already saying about these things, you know, because it's not some hidden. Maybe it's obscured in terms of mainstream media, but like it's all out here. Like the stuff that we're talking about is all the information is out here in actuality, like whether it's coming from the state or U.S. Army War College or NASA or academic institutions, you know, like all of these projections and whatever, it's out here. So it's just a question of whether or not you are internalizing it and acting on it in the here and the now, or kicking the can down the road and acting like something that you can't pinpoint now is going to save you somewhere
right
down the line, you know?
Yeah.
Listen, dude.
I say all of this and still feel like, wow, look at everything that we still have time to do right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, if people can't see that, they can't see both sides of what I'm talking about, it's like, we're going to get what's fucking coming.
Mm-hmm.
We just are. We're going to get what's fucking coming to us. It's just a fact, you know?
Dude, please do the voice.
Do what voice?
No, I'm kidding.
I think he was saying me. Please do the voice. Man, we finna get what's coming to us, man. We don't get our shit together right now, type shit for real. Like,
that's why we gotta get the soundboard so you can just be like.
No, the other thing I want to say too is like, come on, like it would be whack as fuck for shit to hit the fan and all these fucking leftists and liberals that have been talking all kinds of shit just scatter like fucking. Come on, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's literally to me it is embarrassing because, broadly speaking, okay, let me dial it in. The people who share our values in the scope of whatever, liberals, leftists, I guess liberals don't share our values. There's some who might, maybe they could one day.
In the abstract,
right. But so smart, so intelligent in this broad grouping, you know? Such brilliant, smart people. You get what I'm saying? To let these fucking, like, these doofuses, literally fucking idiots.
Right. Yeah.
Be
kind of
more prepared.
Right.
Be more. Are you kidding me? That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. Like, and fuck this, like, cultural, you know, God, I want to say his name so bad. The cultural, like, cultural optics, like, comparison of, like, oh, you know, we're the Chads because blah, 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 and they're the fucking, you know, like, I'm saying, like,
yeah, I get
you
what
get
you're
what I'm saying? Like, no, like, I'm not,
copy.
that's not the conversation I'm trying to have.
Yeah,
like, I'm not, oh, because we have these better ideas and we technically have done XYZ throughout history, we are better, and that's where the conversation stops. Like, no, like we have the capacity to actually like carve out a better future. It's just, it's like, it's not gonna come from the places that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not.
Right.
Oh, and I do feel like there's a class component to it and
that's 100% true.
Yeah, and a comfort component to it also, you know, and just, yeah.
I think I'm gonna struggle through this point, but I feel like it's all a little bit related to maybe to the entertainment thing, but just like I think there's been a broadening of middle class sentiment without the actual material benefits of that. And so there's that's many,
such a beautiful way to put it.
There's so many more people who have that comfort or feel that they have that comfort, but if you ask them to point to it, they would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like they have
Yes.
nothing to point to, but they have this vested interest in protecting whatever the fuck they're perceiving.
I see what
What's
you
the
mean.
know what I
what's
mean?
the old expression they use about Americans or whatever? Like they're embarrassed.
They're temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
Yeah.
It's that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of the
Oh my god, yes, that
Yeah.
is a huge through line.
Yeah.
what we were talking about.
And I think that's a big part of like why the TikTok thing is scary to me, because it's bringing more people
Yes.
into that when like
Oh my
looking
God.
just kind
All
of
the
of it is.
illusion. Yes.
yeah,
all of
because
it is.
like looking at it and saying like, oh, it's just regular people being funny. That's great. Like that's the first thought, and then you think about it, and you're just like, no, they finally got regular people.
Right.
They finally got regular people into this mindset where they believe
Billions.
that something above them is attainable, and they'll
Yeah.
do everything in their power to get to it.
Oh
It's this
my
fucking
God.
clout
And
demon.
man,
You know what I'm
they
saying?
fuck you so hard. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like like the fact that that any type of like real revolutionary sentiment could collapse because of clout is so fucking dark to me.
Right.
But like that's what it feels like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It feels like
Oh man,
like
It's literally
Pandora's
like
box, like
it-
literally.
yeah.
it literally is psychological to me. Like I literally think so much of this shit is like a mental like state that people literally have to, as cliche as
Yes.
that is,
Yes.
you literally have to wake
Yes.
up from it.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
have to. It's crazy.
I
And
guess
wake
that's a
the
part
fuck-
of the appeal to the artists too that we're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
like wake up.
Yeah.
Right.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, get out of your sleep, wake up. You have not seen that clip?
I don't really know what you're referencing.
We could honestly, we could end on this if y'all wanted to call it.
Let's do it.
Because
Why not?
Right. And wake up
literally, sorry, go ahead.
before we get to it. Wake up the people around you too. It's not just. It doesn't have to just be for you, man.
Right.
It's like you can talk to the people around you. I try to do it when I perceive that somebody might listen, but like, wake up the people around you, man. Neo just left all those other people in those pods, dog.
Crack
don't
some
have to
pods
do that.
open.
You don't have to do it. Crack some pods open, even if they're not ready.
Oh yeah, I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
it.
opencollective.com/Jaded Forum. Please donate and support. Help us keep going and expanding.
Tell your friends.
2023. Let's make it a big year.
Let's go.
Wake up. Please help your friends wake up to what's possible.
Wake up out of your seat.
This is kind of this episode is kind of like so. I mean, this has been a crazy year. Man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
We got one
Y'all-
more special one for you before the end of the year.
Yeah,
But this is last normal episode
yeah.
before the year's out.
2022.
It was fire. 22 episodes in 2022.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Look at that.
How about
And
that?
big special one to start 23. Yeah. Look at that.
Look at that, folks.
Hey, man. Shout out 2022. It's been a trash year like the rest of them.
Yeah. Opencollective.com. Shall we?
No clap.
No
Just-
clap?
Just fade it out with this message, with this
Yeah, just
sentiment
fade out.
ringing. Because this is how I feel,
Yeah.
unironically.
Yeah.
Fuck prosperity gospel preachers, though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and organized religion.
My grandma was watching this shit trying to burn my brother's Harry Potter books. So fuck.
And wake up. Stop worrying and wake up. Stop fretting and wake up. God's getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! In the balcony! Wake up! In the choir stand! Wake up!